It's Franklin Graham. It's Eric Trump at 9:35. It's Dana White at 8:53. I'm going home. I'm going home at normal time, 9 o'clock, and I'll just watch Trump come out and do his thing a little bit after 10 o'clock Eastern time with all of you guys, wherever the hell you are. We'll hang out in the Gilded or something like that, and we'll have a good time. You know what I actually really like doing? Where the hell is it? It's somewhere in here. Give me a second. Because I had an example here. I was going to show it to Matt the other night, and I forgot to. It has to be here. Oh, here it is. Quite frankly, rally chat. So this is what I like doing. I've showed you this in the past, too. So if I go on, like, Right Side Broadcasting Network or some other big channel on Rumble that it dedicates all their time to broadcasting rallies and stuff, sometimes I'll pop into the chat just because it's impossible to have a conversation. It's just scrolling, and I'll scream. I'll scream random things in the middle of the chat just on the off chance that somebody else was holding their phone, watching the chat go by, and they just see me just fly by them saying something completely out of the ordinary. Here it is. This was taken last week. I don't know when the hell it was. I think it was a Trump rally somewhere. And I jumped in. I think we get that out of the way. I jumped in and I said this. You'll see me right in the middle of it. Everybody's saying, watching from Canada, LFG, FJB, Trump 2024, Trump's about to break the internet, bam. And then there's Quite Frankly in the middle of it, just screaming, help me. I thought it would be funny because imagine that was my only chance to get somebody to help me. Like if I was in a desperate situation and going into one of the Donald Trump rally chat rooms was the only way that I can communicate my situation to anybody out there. It'd be impossible. It would be completely pointless. Everything is God bless you and your beautiful family. Stay strong, MAGA, 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 MAGA. And then there's just Quite Frankly in the middle of it screaming for help. For what? What does he need help with? I love doing shit like that. And it's usually only me. I just do it to laugh by myself. And when I take a screenshot and I send it to my friends, they appreciate it too. And sometimes we go in there and we try to screenshot ourselves saying things too. But hopefully, I never need a rally chat to signal real help. So that's what we have there. Okay. The phone lines tonight will be open. It's 914-200-0269. Did you guys hear about this meteor that blazed over the Statue of Liberty at 34,000 miles an hour and disintegrated above Manhattan? I didn't know about it, but it happened this week. I didn't see anything. A meteor blazed across the sky over the Statue of Liberty before disintegrating about 30 miles above Midtown Manhattan on Tuesday morning, NASA confirmed. The event occurred around 11:15 a.m., coinciding with New Yorkers reporting a flash of fire and slight ground shaking. Eyewitness accounts from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut describe seeing a green, yellow, white fireball. One observer noted the spectacle lasted 30 seconds before fragmenting into three pieces, as reported to the American Meteor Society. NASA's analysis says that the meteor, traveling at 34,000 miles an hour, was first spotted 40 miles above New York Harbor. It descended steeply at an 18-degree angle from vertical, passing over Statue of Liberty before breaking up 29 miles above Manhattan. You know what it was? It was probably that when it entered the atmosphere, it was so fucking hot. It just said, I quit. I'd rather go and just... I should have traveled into the sun. Because it's been so hot around here. So yeah, that's it. The meteor. I don't know if anybody had anything fly over your heads anytime recently. But I just want to get this one started. It's 7:07 p.m. I want to thank my sponsors, BlueMonsterPrep.com, and all of my wonderful friends on the affiliates page on QuiteFrankly.tv. Go and check them out because there's wonderful things there. Things that are not only great for presents and anniversaries and special occasions, but there's also health foods there, like the botanical chocolates from Yes Cacao. There's a lot of great. There's our wonderful, quite frankly, gold and silver resources with Tony Arterburn at Wise Wolf. So anybody that ever is finally ready to buy their first couple of ounces of silver or open up a gold back IRA or anything like that, get in touch with Tony at Wise Wolf, quite frankly, .gold. And then there's Blue Monster, and there's a whole bunch of other people over there. Great stuff. So check them out. We'll be right back. It's going to be your calls. It's going to be your theories, your thoughts, and anything else that we can get away with tonight. Because who knows when our last night on YouTube or anywhere else may be. We're just playing it the best we can. And I hope that everybody is watching tonight will follow us wherever the hell the future takes us. Because 7 o'clock on a weeknight, man, oh man, it's magic. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. That's not what I wanted to do. So silly. I don't know where the hell my head's at already. Maybe just because it's so exciting.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's
the hell should be strictly enforced and what should be strictly protected. Well, we can go back to the conspiracy theories that are abound right now that are being pushed by well-paid, absolute bug-brained losers like Joy Ann Reid from MSNBC. I want to get around to this for a second because it's very, very interesting. And again, I'm not the one that set the standard. This, what she's about to say, is at least knocking on the door of $1 billion penalty, $1 billion fine for questioning the official events of a deadly mass casualty happening. This is a mass casualty event. It's really, she's walking on thin ice, or is she? Because is she part of a very protected class? And here, take a listen to this.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is...
Why does she want... The question is, why are people like Joy Reid and others really hungry for people to talk about the details of the nicking of the ear? He didn't lose an ear. It wasn't a very bad wound at all. I mean, which is the miraculous part of it. If you want to start talking about miracles, it was a skim, a nick. It's incredible. It's incredible compared to the back of a head being blown off. So, but why she's saying this, we don't have any physician to talk about the cut he has because they don't believe, and they believe that it should be called into question that there were actually live rounds being fired or that it was in some other way staged, like it was a David Copperfield act. This is what they're getting at. That's why they want to seem so inquisitive and probing, almost as probing as their beloved president, Joe Biden, who, of course, has COVID now. He has COVID. That's the news there. Anyway, let's listen to the, because she's just so smart. Thank God she's thinking for the rest of us, because this might have fell through the cracks otherwise.
Still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much?
She's concentrating on the physician and the nicked right ear. She wants to know about superficial damage to cartilage on President Trump's right ear. We are all wondering about how the security accidentally left open a straight lane from the only standing structure near the rally. for another flushable wipe patsy fall guy that has absolutely no social media imprint, has much of a digital imprint than my great-grandfather would have had. So she wants to talk about the state of the cartilage of Trump's right ear because she's trying to push us into another direction that is completely evasive and ridiculous because 364 days of the year, this woman is giving everybody a reason to go and shoot the guy.
Know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not?
Okay. Good question. But again, allowed to stand up, I don't know. I mean, he's a big man, even though he's 78 years old. You're in a state where you're coursing with adrenaline. And yeah, he has a couple of big guys on him, but he also has a couple of stumpy little women. And you know what? They weren't the regulars. And they weren't provided by Trump. Here's the thing. I mean, now you would think it's just one of those things where I don't even know. I mean, like I said, this morning I was watching this and I know why she's doing it. But then I ask myself, I wonder if anybody could ask her, because these are little TikTok videos, just little nuggets over there. Give somebody, it's just food for thought, more like poison for thought. But I would love to ask Joy Ann Reid, about her Trump staged assassination theory, which is shared by very many people. Did she, by any chance, go into how Trump might have convinced Biden's people at the United States Secret Service and elsewhere to make this all possible? Did she work that out? And then she'd have to say when and why Trump and Biden started working together on this to stage the assassination attempt. That's what I would like to know. Because all of this, all of the big questions have nothing to do with Donald Trump. Nothing. Or better yet, why aren't the FBI, the CIA, the United States Secret Service, etc., working like busy little bees to expose this, to expose the truth about the first assassination attempt must be the first assassination attempt that they didn't have at least a small hand in coordinating? Can you imagine that? All looking at each other, CIA, FBI, Secret Service, everybody, admittedly against anything that Donald Trump, represents and all that stuff. And they've been working feverishly for the last 10 years. Entrapment schemes, every other legal and media concoction that can be cooked up to debilitate Donald Trump. And you would think this would be a slam dunk. You're like, what? How? Let's get him. He obviously coordinated this. It wasn't us. It would be easy. He'd be in jail by the end of the month. It'd be so easy to prove. Finally, something they were looking for, a real crime. He staged a deadly event. You would think that the first thing the United States Secret Service would say was, we wanted people on that roof, but for some reason the Trump campaign was insistent on it being left unattended. Instead, we didn't get that. Instead, we got a story about how dangerous slightly sloped roofs were for federal agents. And then another dead fall guy, like I said, with a digital fingerprint larger than my great-grandfather would have had. And did this Crooks character, did this kid just love Trump so much that somebody was able to convince him to take the shots at Donald Trump and then just await certain death with the return fire, that it would be the best way to get Trump elected? What happens to him then? What's his level of complicity there too? It's just incredible. It's incredible what people throw themselves into just to be able to avoid looking at this thing from the most obvious perspective. It's just crazy. And this would have been the only way, to be honest, that Biden would be able to revive his hopes his election hopes. If his people were able to expose that Trump rained death down upon innocent people just to be able to gain an edge on him in the polls, that would be a slam dunk. But unfortunately, Biden's people are responsible for the rally being as poorly resourced security-wise as it was, which is why the media squeals in horror if you get too close to suggesting that this is worthy of an investigation instead of some open-ended galaxy brain speculation as to why Trump needed a bigger Band-Aid. That's what everybody's talking about. Why does he have such a big Band-Aid under there? What is he exaggerating? What is he playing up? I swear to God, you probably have seen it. This is how underworked their brains are. That these are the things that they fixate on, and they think that there's something there. That's how there's no practice. Their brains just get no practice. Take a call. First one up is Frank Zell. What's going on, Frank?
Hey, Frank. Long time no talk, man.
Long time no talk. Welcome back.
Hey, man. I mean, the reports are circulating. It looks like it's going to be official, man. It looks like the knives are out, and it's probably negotiating behind the scenes, but it looks like Biden's stepping down. Well, stepping out of the race, not stepping down. This weekend. People reporting it all over the place. Mark Halperin, he pretty much vouched his credibility on this. He's like, it's a done deal. It's gonna happen probably Sunday.
Hold on, stay with me because I have two things here. I have one from Axios, and then I have that Mark Halperin tweet. So, Frank,
Newsmax, and there's a bunch of other places starting to say like it's looking like it's a done deal. But the thing is that Biden, part of it is Biden will not endorse Harris.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a brokered convention.
See, this is what I'm talking about. And we'll get around to this. Hold on. Well, no. Let's stay on that for a second. This is why, even without any evidence whatsoever, just a gut feeling and me just thinking the way I do, I saw Saturday being the botched start of a cascade effect that would have eventually, ushered Biden out in a violent way too. If this unwillingness to leave didn't dissipate, because here he is now. He's obviously being defiant of what most of the party wants him to do, which is get the hell out of Dodge. And he's sitting there. I bet you, I don't know, man. It's something just tells me that maybe it was a plan and maybe it has now since been abandoned because that whole job on Saturday was botched. But it seems like it would have worked out pretty incredible, especially if your ultimate goal is to send the entire country into a divided hellhole of just hatred. If both guys are gone, one because of revenge, the other one retaliation as well. It's just I can't shake it from my gut.
Yeah, I mean, I think this all started. Us being the public, we saw that this guy wasn't there for 4 years. We've joked about it. People have, on the internet have goofed on him. We all saw it. I would make my wife pay attention. I go, look at this, man. Anybody who's had a loved one who's had Alzheimer's knows that shuffle of Joe Biden. His mind isn't there. When they threw him out for that debate with Trump, that was the beginning. Because there's no way you throw him out. You knew he was going to embarrass himself. That was the start, in my opinion. That was it. That was the end for Biden. Right there.
Yeah.
And then with the attempted assassination, I don't want to get into it, whether it's staged, real, whatever. Whatever it is what it is. Trump's got political capital now that nobody ever running for president's ever had. I mean, he's a former president, but he has so much political capital right now. This is why. And then, of course, Biden gets COVID. I didn't believe that. That's when I said, oh, boy, the knives are out. Now it's negotiating time. Biden knows his secrets. Joe and his wife, they're power hungry. There's got to be a negotiation going on behind the scenes because the Democrats, okay, maybe they're saying, all right, the presidency is lost. Now it's about the House and the Senate. we can't lose it all. And that's what they're on the verge of getting swept this fall. It's, it's a razor, the Republicans have the House, the Dems have a razor thin majority in the Senate, and that's going to be lost. So I think they're absolutely panicking, and they're trying to make whatever deal. I mean, this is the chaos of politics that I love, because you add blackmailing, you add secrets that people know on each other.
But to your point there, I remember this kind of heat being turned up in 2016. Now, in 2016, we were having a whole lot of fun at this point in the summertime. I remember it was June of 2016, and me, my brother Anthony, the rest of my band, we were out in Anaheim for VidCon, and we were doing some performances out there and shit like that. But it was like the week after Brexit. And there are a lot of libs out there. I remember just walking through the hotels, and there would be just people stopping that recognize each other. Maybe one was from the UK, one was just friends from across the pond. They would see each other, give each other a hug, and say, "Are you okay? How's everything going?" Because of Brexit. And we all knew that, and I remember saying that, and I was watching that and saying, "Wow, man, I hope that this is a precursor for November." But how the hell is Trump really going to beat Hillary and all that? Either way, from June to October, it was magic, mostly because of the memes. Nothing seemed too dangerous, but it seemed like there was something magical going on. We were having a fun fucking time. They were getting more and more agitated, and just something seemed like it could actually break our way. This time, well, I mean, the excitement level is through the roof, but it's also a little scary too. Like, we're going through the haunted house, and there's some real knives about to be thrown at us, because we've already had an assassination attempt. We're on the brink of a couple of very significant wars that were not there in 2016. There is a lot that has already been layered into the backdrop of this one, man. So I feel like it's 10 times more thick.
And now you add the Democratic Party is imploding, and they're going to have a brokered convention, because if Harris is not endorsed by Biden, that means she's got to pick a running mate, and other people are going to throw, because now it's a power grab. I don't think you're going to see Newsom. I don't think you're going to see Governor Whitmer from Michigan. Why on earth? They're setting themselves up for a post-Trump world in 2028. This is politics, man. Why am I stepping in as a pinch hitter when we're losing, 28-0 in the seventh inning? I don't want to take the rap.
Well,
it's such a label, because if Newsom steps in and let's say they get swept, he's done for 2028. Done. Same thing with Whitmer.
Well, Frank,
why would you put yourself through it when you have no Trump running in 2028? It's just common sense politics.
The only thing I can throw up against your question is what we've been saying since 2018, when we started seeing what they were doing with the ballot harvesting in California, and they essentially eliminated all of those very reliably red Reagan districts in California. When we started seeing them rolling out the ballot harvesting in multiple states in 2018, and then, of course, 2 years later, it went to full-fledged mail-in and every other trick in the book that was going on, including just shutting shit down at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's the only thing. They don't seem like a party that can afford a 4-year delay. They seem very, very desperate. They always do. They always seem desperate to have at least one monkey wrench in the gears to make sure that they don't lose control and expose themselves completely anyway, even though they have most of the bureaucracy in their back pocket. But I think anybody in the chat room that has an answer for you is probably answering the same way I am. It's just that, anybody might be able to throw their hat into the ring, because they're going to try to steal it. I understand the theory about overwhelming the ballots and making the turnout too big to be able to even find an acceptable margin to create that kind of disparity. But it's not like they're not going to try. So
you make it. No, I understand your point totally. This is why if Newsom or Whitmer get involved in this and they put their names in the ring, then you know for sure they're going to try to steal it again in November. If it's a couple of nobodies
they're
or
giving
Harris, then it's going to be a Trump blowout. But if it's Newsom or Whitmer, then I'll be scared.
Okay.
Then I'll say, wait a second. Because if they deviate from political, politics 101, you don't do it now because you're setting yourself up for 2028. If they do it now, that means they know they're getting a reward. They're not doing it to take the political hit. They're doing it for some kind of benefit, and that's to win the presidency. So if one of those two somehow win the nomination and they're gonna take a stab at it, then they're gonna make a push to steal it again. That's one of my fear would be the highest if one of those two get the nomination.
Frank, thanks for the call. That's an interesting. That I can see that being a workable strategy, and if anything else happens throughout the next however long we're on, either text me or call back in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Frank. Appreciate it.
See you later. Anybody else want to roll with that? That if they send in low man on the totem pole talent like Kamala Harris, does that mean that they actually are mailing it in and saying, there's no way in hell that we're going to be able to take the White House, but let's refocus all of our attention to down ballot races so that we can control at least one chamber of Congress, either maintain what we have in the Senate or lose the Senate and edge out Republicans in the House, just to be able to make sure that there is no legislative mandate, unanimous legislative mandate, and then just try to does that sound? It sounds reasonable that if they settle on putting low man on the totem pole talent out there, it may just be that they think they could survive with the usual tactics by losing the White House for 4 years if they can just put everything they have into other races and maintaining at least one check. But if they put somebody that they seem to have a lot of stock in, do they have a lot of stock in Gavin Newsom, though? Everybody keeps talking about this guy. And I don't know what the hell, what? He goes, just because he's young and he looks like Patrick Bateman and he's from California, I don't, maybe it's just all the aesthetics. But I really don't know too much about him outside of that. Is that the high talent? So we'll see. Let's take a call. Mike, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Frank, so good to talk to you, man.
Great to talk to you.
Touching in quick on what Frank Zell said earlier.
Okay.
About Biden dropping out this weekend. I haven't heard the whole show yet, but toward the beginning of the No Agenda show, Adam Curry said he had it from a high-placed source in the Trump campaign that Biden was dropping tonight. And John C. Dvorak made the point that, well, that would be useful to them because it could step on Trump's speech.
Oh, I don't know how that would step on the speech. It would definitely divert a little bit of. No, I don't know. First of all, nobody's going to turn off the speech to watch him resign. They will watch the resignation after the speech that Trump gives at 10 o'clock Eastern time tonight, and then they will watch the resignation and afterwards and just feel like $1 million more than they already do. So there's no way that would actually take away from what's going on in Wisconsin tonight.
Well, I agree as far as you or I would be watching the debate, but if somebody is watching it on some mainstream channel and they're like, well, here's Trump talking and, oh, we're just hearing now, we got to cut away.
It does, at that point, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not about ratings.
Yeah,
ratings don't really matter. It's just about, okay, the nominee has been the candidate has been chosen, and another candidate is dropping away. Which honestly, and thank you for the call, Mike. is just a fulfillment of Joe Biden's own words in 2020. He said, I'm going to be a one-term president. I think he called him a transition president. That's what he called himself. So I don't know where this defiance and this dedication to trying to squeeze 4 more years out of himself really comes from. It might be the people around him who don't want to lose their jobs. But, you know, would the chaff, how different would the staff be? So is it really just the Biden family? Is it Jill and Hunter? Do they want to maintain I don't know what it is. Because you'd have to imagine that the staff is pretty interchangeable, especially if Obama has anything to say about it. Behind the curtain, here I'll keep the line up. We'll just talk about this until we get to the top of the hour. Son of a bitch! I keep doing it to myself. I don't know why. I have it all set up over here. Behind the curtain, top Dems now believe Biden will exit. This is Axios, guys. This is the Red Mirage people. Several times, this is not rumor mill news. Several top Democrats privately tell us the rising pressure of party congressional leaders and close friends will persuade President Biden to decide to drop out of the presidential race as soon as this weekend. I don't think he's going to do it tonight. Why it matters, the 81-year-old president, now self-isolating with COVID, remains publicly dug in, but privately he's resigned to mounting pressure. Bad polls and untenable scrutiny making it impossible to continue his campaign, the Democrats tell us. Behind the scenes, the private message distilled to its bluntest form is top leaders of his party, his friends, his key donors believe he cannot win, he can't change public perception of his age and acuity, and can't deliver congressional majorities. The president is being told that if he stays in, former President Trump could win in a landslide and wipe away Biden's legacy, which is nothing. There is no legacy. There is just let's try to do as much of the opposite of what Trump was doing as possible. There's no legacy there. Democrats fully expect polls after the Republican National Convention to show a possible blowout that could bring down Democrats in Congress, too. See, why would anybody, how would that change? I really hope that we get Rich on in about 20 minutes. Why would that change? If that's the way things are, is it really just the presidential candidate? At that point, is it really just the presidential candidate that is ruining everybody's chances? Is it really that powerful? I mean, let's say he bows out tonight. Will those polls go right back up? I mean, is it really that people are happy? They just need somebody who has aesthetics? Is that how simple it all is? Or are people feeling badly about things? Are they seeing cities and towns and neighborhoods they once felt safe in looking a little bit more decrepit, having a little bit less fun going on, a little bit more crime, a little bit more that. And the other thing, I mean, we are now starting to physically feel all the things that we had the convenience of being politically distant from in the past. So I understand that he is just a really, really bad optical problem for the party. But how much can they really recover in the polls just by replacing him? It's more of a message problem and it's more of a delivery problem. It's just, I don't know. And then you have this. Well, I'm going to take your calls. I see more calls coming in. Then you have this from Mark Halperin. Breaking news. Multiple sources outline the apparent state of play on Biden at this time. Plans to announce withdrawal from nomination as early as this weekend, with Sunday most likely. John Meacham polishing up remarks. Biden will not resign the presidency. That's what he says. And Biden will not endorse Harris. Open convention with Harris and about 3 others. Superdelegates will not be allowed to vote on the first ballot. Harris is vetting at least 4 possible running mates, including Andy Beshear and possibly Shapiro. Who's that, the guy from Pennsylvania? Can you imagine if this is true? Guys, that is late August. I think their convention ends like on August 22nd. It'll be a week before September. You know what kind of, that will be monumental entertainment broadcast. This is going to be better than House of Cards. To watch it is going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible to see what happens to that. Seriously. Let's take a call. 702, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Good to have you on.
Hey, my thoughts on this whole thing is Jill Biden will be replaced at the top of the ticket with Kamala Harris still as vice president wannabe, and they're going to say that, well, she learned so much foreign policy by pillow talk or whatever, but she's the perfect replacement because they'll kill off Joe, and she'll be the grieving mother and the grieving wife, the first lady. You can imagine just the PR barrage we will get just before the Democratic convention. That's my thought.
Who? Jill?
Yeah, Jill Biden.
You think
first lady?
Oh, I don't know. Listen. I
mean, they.
I don't think so.
You know, senators, if they die in office, they get their wife can replace them. You can see the legal mumbo jumbo that these Democrats will come up with. Oh, we got to take it to the Supreme Court, because, well, if you can do it for the senator, well, you can do it for the first lady, even though it's not in the Constitution and all that, but these snakes have been trying to,
you would have, but sir, here's the thing, and thank you for the call. Here's what you're not taking into account. She would have to present herself as a candidate, and then she would would have to be something at the convention. And if you think that Jill Biden is going to be allowed to skip over Kamala Harris, who's just going to sit there nicely as the vice president, it's just like a fluffer. I don't know what the hell she even does there. If Kamala Harris is either going to be dropped altogether and a ticket is going to be completely remade, or she's going to be given a bump into the big seat. She's not going to sit there as a VP while Joe's wife comes in, and then I don't think that. I think that's a lot less likely than even the Michelle Obama rumors. All right, 914-200-0269. We could take another one. 504. You're on the air real quick. Go ahead.
Hi, Frank. It's Kelly. I just want to say I have high hopes that Biden's narcissism kicks in and he refuses to step down, and it just makes a big shit show out of the Dems, and the whole party implodes.
I mean, listen, that's what this Mark Halperin tweet is. That's what it hints at. That's what.
He's so defiant and feisty when he gets pissed off.
Listen, you might get your wish, especially if there's any credibility to this one. If there's
Get your popcorn ready.
What's that?
Get your popcorn ready and persevere.
Oh, yes. Yes, persevere. Keep your pencils sharpened. Thank you so much for the call. 914-200-0269. There's no time to bring up the what I wanted to say about the free speech stuff. I'll keep that until next week. It's still going to be relevant. But let's take some more calls. 321, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank.
Who's this?
Thanks for taking my call, man. Yeah, that's crazy. That Joy Reid, do you think she's like a Manchurian candidate? Does she know what she's doing? Like you said, we're almost hypnotized with the other show, like half the country.
No. Yeah. Well, okay, go ahead. You have a more question. Go ahead.
Or she's knowingly doing this, kind of like a cornered dog. And I'm sorry, but all these demons are coming out and they're eating themselves. They're just eating themselves in front of us. I think it's a good thing myself.
I'll tell you. Well, listen.
And one more thing.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Biden will probably. They will let. They're almost like they're crooks. They're gangsters. Okay, we're going to let you be the nominee, and then go ahead and pardon yourself, pardon your son. We're going to let you walk away, and hopefully take the eyes off Obama and Clinton and Bush.
No. There's not going to be any pardoning. They're not going to pardon themselves and walk out of there. It would look ridiculous. It'd look even worse than anything else. That would mean that in the last couple of months of his political career and possibly his public life, it was exposed that he was demented the whole time and being run like a ventriloquist puppet by everybody around him, and that his entire 2020 campaign and candidacy was an absolute sham and a creation of media networks. And then on the way out, he pardons himself and admits that he's also a crook, and the conspiracy theorists were right. That would never happen. It would never happen. I think we might see meltdowns. You're right about the demons. I always go back to the night on Bald Mountain from Fantasia, and we probably have to go back to that again. It is the night on Bald Mountain right now, and I think in the past I may have I thought maybe I just underestimated how bad it was going to get, and we still are nowhere near the zenith, the peak of it all. But we should really analyze that again. The mountain, the night on Bald Mountain, and what it means for us. Jim from Maine, what's going on? We just spoke to your brother.
Oh, he was on. Okay, very good. I don't know how much I'm going to add to the conversation, but just regarding the president, as far as who the Democrats are going to be putting forward, it's all about, like you talked about it, down balloting, right? Right now they have to be so apathetic, their base about what is happening, that they're worried about people just not going to the polls, period, not showing up. So they have to put somebody out there with some respectability. I'm not sure if my brother, he probably did, regarding Newsom. He's got grander plans.
That's what he said. What Frank pretty much said is, he said if they run anybody out there on the caliber of like a Kamala Harris or something like that, then he suspects that the DNC is essentially surrendering the White House for 4 years, the last 4 years that Trump is going to be a viable candidate as it is, and they're going to put all of their attention into down ballot races so that they can at least hold on to one chamber of Congress and save all their fire for 2028, whatever that talent is. He said that if a Newsom or somebody like that's a little bit younger, a little bit more of a, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't think that they have any talent, but that's the way he was coming at it. That if Newsom comes now, that they're going to try to steal it with everything that they got. And if they stick with Harris, it's just going to be a surrender of the White House, but a doubling down everywhere else.
Yeah, well, for Harris to be in, it will be entertaining for sure.
Yeah,
just to watch any future debates would be comical. But with Newsom, a lot of people, I remember during the COVID times when he was, enacting those totalitarian laws, and then he was keeping everybody inside, and then he was going out to eat. I remember those pictures when he was keeping people locked in their homes and he would go out to eat. I mean, that's all you have to air with him. He was a total hypocrite during COVID. So I'm not really fearful of Newsom, regardless when he runs, but we live in wild times.
It's very wild.
And to have an open convention is going to be entertaining to see how it all plays out. I don't know who they're going to put forward. I mean, maybe Harris, but like you were saying, if you're just mailing it in, and they're only going to keep one chamber, that's it. I mean, this is going to be a slaughter.
I know. Okay, I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Is it possible that it could actually be a sweep? I don't know.
I think we're going to be as close as to I think it might be. It's possible. I mean, when you're talking about he was 8 points down in New York, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's gonna be a blowout.
I have a couple of questions. For Rich Baris when he comes on at 8 o'clock, especially about that. About what do these polls really mean? Does swapping out a candidate even help this? Is it a deeper issue, or is it really just about Joe Biden? That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. But then again, we still have months of chicanery ahead of us. Jim, thanks for the call, man.
Hey, and I'll leave it. 2 weeks in politics, Frank, is a long time.
I know.
So just remember that there's a long way to go, and there's going to be some surprises that are going to happen, because just look what's happened in the past 2.5 weeks. Think about it.
It's been huge. It's been a couple of years.
It's incredible what has happened in just a short period of time. So who knows what's going to happen when November rolls around. But
I mean,
Baris, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Jim, there's been more than half a century of work from publishing to broadcasting, public speaking, all types of investigations, official and unofficial. There's been over a half a century of work done on the successful assassination of John F. Kennedy. And I mean, does it matter? I mean, there was a plot. Something came together on Saturday, and we were a half an inch away from another success. I mean, thankfully the guy is alive, but the fact is that it happened again. I mean, that same thing just happened again, slightly, and a big significant. It's slight, but a significant difference. And I mean, you want to talk about a lot that happens in 2 weeks? 50 years just happened in a week. You know, it's nuts.
It's a good point.
It's nuts.
It's a good point. And I'm very curious to hear about Trump, how he delivers his speech. I want to see if he's his fiery self, more tone. I'm very curious about his speech tonight to see how he plays it out.
I'm curious too.
Be interesting.
Yeah, I'll probably be texting with you guys if you're still awake.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to try to. I have to get up for work, but Rich should shed a lot of light on some of your questions, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Frank. Bye.
See you later. We got Rich coming on in about 9 minutes, so let's take one more call, and I'll take a quick break. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Ed Gray here. How you doing?
Ed Gray, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm the one that made the forecast this year. But anyway, hey, something's been going on in my head, and Democrats, and I'm not talking about Washington. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people. They haven't had a chance to vote for who they want in office, and they're not going to again. So doesn't that go against them, or is there more of a sheep than anyone else?
You know what, Ed? I'm glad you bring this up. And it's been a long time since I've been able to explore this topic here too. And it's true. They did not have a choice in who their candidates were in 2016 or in 2020. It's just that the last two presidential elections, they had no choice. And the fact that they would deny that there's any chance that the presidency could have been stolen from a coast to coast kind of an operation is incredible, when they themselves witnessed that there was no choice that they had in the matter of even picking their own candidate in two consecutive turns.
Even Benny, I mean, they knocked him out.
It's more than that, Ed. Go ahead. Is there anything else you want to say? Really great point.
No, it's just heavy on my mind. I just don't know why these Democrat people, I'm sorry, I'll say it, lip-tarts, that don't have a brain and will fall off the cliff with whatever they say. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, thank you. And I think a lot of people wonder the same thing, because you want to know why I might be in my originalist self. And I know many of you out there share my stance on all that stuff from a traditional American constitutional standpoint, where we should go. It's pretty extreme compared to the lives that we're living right now. What would have to be done? A lot of dirty work that has to be done. A lot of dirty work. But when you think about the differences between a mainstream Republican and a mainstream Democrat, it's really just mind control. It's mind control that makes two parties that are really so in so many ways similar, and they're never really. They both hold on to the same premise that the government is a central regulating agent in all things in an American's life. There's a little bit more of a decentralizing, a little bit more of a states' rights vibe in the Republican Party. That's why people who are more, ANCAP, libertarian, free market based, they make a lot of concessions and hold their nose and throw down a vote if they're going to vote at all for a Republican, because that's the best chance that maybe 5% of the way that they wish the country would be run can be expressed, at least in the published policies. But when you think about the differences between Republican and Democrat in a mainstream sense, I know that Democrats are going far, far, far more Marxist, socialist, self-destructive, and suicidal, but that's really only the last 10, 12 years. What keeps people in orbit? Why won't you just get away? It's really just, it's mind control. And when it comes to that, I really do believe that the brain trust, whoever the hell's, meeting in the smoky boardrooms and stuff like that, and discussing what the hell's going on in one party or another or whatever, especially the Democrat Party, they really hate their voters. They hate their voters, and I think it's because they know that their voters are very weak. They're very weak. They're very impressionable. They will parrot anything. They will defend anything, especially things that go against an individual's best interests. I think that they truly hate their voting base more than any party hates their constituents. There's a lot of disrespect between the GOP and their voters as well. It's a joke as well. But I think that there's a true disdain, like a disgust, that liberals have for their voters. Because to be a loyal Democrat at this stage in the game is to be so subservient and so... You have to surrender so much critical thinking. And you have to be so self-effacing that I think any kind of a gangster operation, you always hear that, well, terrorists, they only respond to strength. They'll only respect strength against strength. They hate you. They'll smile. You call into their office and say that there's a sewer problem and you want some they roll their eyes. They fucking hate you. Even on a local level. I've sat outside a local representative's doors and hear them, scoff every time they see the caller ID. It's another constituent who thinks that somebody actually represents their interests. But especially when you represent a party that is so nannying and so ninny-like and so dug into the minutia of people's lives, and everybody wants to be taken care of, and they have all these ridiculous initiatives that they want, and it just keeps degrading into matters of gender expression and everything else. Dude, there's no way that they respect their voters. No way. In fact, I believe that there's only hatred and contempt because it's just so weak. It's just so weak. How the hell can you respect somebody that's so weak? That chooses just to surrender? It's fucking pathetic. So yeah, I really hope that there's a big spiritual turnaround for a lot of people, because this is just very degrading. It's getting worse too. All right. Where the hell am I going with this? Any second now, I'm going to be getting a call from Rich. I've missed my spot to jump off and do a little bit of a break. So yeah, what do we do? What's going on over here? Who's this guy talking in Milwaukee? Anyway, we've got 28 minutes until Tucker Carlson goes live. All right, let's do this one. Strap in, everybody. John from Connecticut, go ahead real quick because Rich Baris is coming on. John from Connecticut.
All right, let's do this one. Hey, pal.
Hey, real quick.
I just want to say, Frank, you do a great job and all this stuff.
Thank you.
And the two-shooter thing is way possible, and there's two cops that got hit that nobody's talking about, and this and that and other things, and it's pretty insane. I've been, since I'm disabled and home and watching this stuff every day, I kind of got some stuff, however. But you know what my favorite thing about today was?
What?
Hashtag MAGA, and then all of a sudden there's the Trump with his arm up that they're trying to take off that Time magazine.
The
I don't know if you've seen that.
You're talking about the little emoji on Twitter that they put in there?
Yeah. That is just badass. Elon, how you doing?
Yeah, it's the little things.
So,
that was a little treat in your stocking.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I have never used the MAGA hashtag.
It works, man. It works.
I'm
All
sure
you gotta do is hashtag, right? You could type MAGA in capitals or small.
I'm sure it works like a charm. I'm sure it works.
Right. So, yeah, the other thing is the angles of attack and the ballistics and the things for the lines of bullets and stuff.
Gotcha.
You know, the shit don't line up. And this other guy, Michael Young or somebody else, he's, another combat reporter or something. He was one of the guys that was on the Las Vegas thing. You can prove shit with
I get
bullet
you.
trajectory.
It's a lot of crazy. Yeah, it's very crazy.
And
It doesn't
make sense.
It doesn't make
at
sense.
all whatsoever.
Nothing. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It just doesn't.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to yell at you. I apologize.
No, it's all right. You're rightfully.
I'm still in shock, because I seen it just
I'm
a
in
couple
shock.
minutes after live,
I can't take it anymore.
and I ain't right with it. And I don't know. We're gonna have to do something. But
Something's gotta be done.
Hashtag MAGA.
Hashtag it all up.
Hashtag
That'll
MAGA
fix everything.
And just viral. It's just gonna fix it all.
That's
I'm
right.
Telling you, that's it.
Thank you. All right.
Hey, Frank.
All
I love
right.
you, man. And
Thank you,
keep your
John.
daughter on for me.
Well, I love you.
All
Have
right,
a
and
good.
Guess what? Guess what? Breaking news.
What?
Biden's got the COVID, so he can't sniff no more kids.
You're right. He's got
So it's
COVID.
good.
There he goes. All right, brother. I'll see you soon. Let's see here. Hello, who's this? Hello?
Frank?
Is this Rich?
It is. How you
Rich.
doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well. Listen, I know this is a busy night for you, a busy night for everybody, and there's a lot of things going on. So, okay, let's just start from the beginning. This is Rich Baris, everybody, the People's Pundit, of course. You don't see him right now, but I'll get him up on screen in a second. First things first, Rich, thoughts from the weekend. You and you've had this conversation with many people too, but we've talked about it. Escalating tension in the political world, that the rhetoric cannot just stay rhetoric forever. Tell me, we don't have to go through all the operational failures and shit like that, but what have been the big takeaways from you over the last couple of days in this week that feels like it's 50 years?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, Frank, there are so many things going on in this country right now. I think people need to stop and appreciate the moment we're living in and have been living in, right? When a former president is persecuted and prosecuted, it's a huge story, and we talk about it for as long as the story goes on. When a president is finally, has an emperor has no clothes moment, and everyone realizes that didn't know already that the president is senile, and the media has been lying to everyone, and the party's been lying to everybody. It's a huge story, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, when a president is almost killed, nearly killed, it's a huge story. And all of these things are happening at once. It's insane. I think people need to just take a second to appreciate that, and realize how big these stories are.
Enormous. I'm glad you said that, especially when it comes to because I don't know. I think the biggest thing that I've taken away after only a little bit amount of time that has gone by, you realize what the hell has just really happened and how big the conspiracy might have been, crossing parties, bureaucracy, everything. But
Frank, come on. There's no way this happened because of incompetence.
No.
Can we drop the act? Can we absolutely drop the act? There is, I can't believe people are even pretending this is possible. That line of sight on that building, they weld manhole covers shut when the president's motorcade comes down a road. They remove ladders to buildings when a president is speaking in the vicinity. You can't even get into an area hours before. Once you're past that time when the president's coming to talk, it's over. The idea that this guy was walking around, by the way, known, which if people don't know this already, he was already known to authorities. The idea that this guy somehow walked onto the only building, first of all, walked onto that area, with a firearm, and then got up and on into the prone row, bro, on the only building which has a line of sight to the president is insane. And there is no way in my mind, after you learn all the facts, there's just no way in my mind that this wasn't one of those horribly dark times in our history when they nudge and nudge and nudge and give people an opportunity, give them a motive with all you were just talking about, crazy rhetoric. And then somebody kind of, like, they don't do it, but they just kind of step aside, brother, and give whomever has the motive an opportunity, a window, and then they hope that event happens. It's how they killed Malcolm X, it's how they killed Martin Luther King. Malcolm X, by the way, 2 guys did 20 years in jail. They had nothing to do with it. The FBI nudged another guy, and that guy was living in Newark, New Jersey for years until his death a couple of years ago, which was attended. By the way, his funeral was attended by the Lieutenant Governor of New Jersey. We have to stop pretending like this is not the world we live in. It is, and they tried to kill the guy. Let's be honest.
I think the thing that really upsets me, or I guess was confirmed for me, is really what happened afterwards. We always say that I think we're beyond unity. I think that those moments where September 11th, 2001 happened, and even with we're all very fresh and wet behind the ears, and it's happening to us at that point. It was a galvanizing event that. Nothing galvanizes us anymore. Nothing will ever galvanize us anymore, at least not for a couple of generations, unless there's a complete stop and then there's a way for the earth to refertilize itself. I don't know what the hell happens, because within 12 hours, everybody was right back to the messaging that led to this. Everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the whole thing, Rich. People want to hold on. The left. And this, I'm getting around to all the polling now next. This is going to set this up. The left, which is most strongly expressed in the will of the Democrat Party, is really married to this role-playing game that they have about existential crises and about the rise of Hitler and the end of human rights for anybody based on all these superficial issues and stuff. And they make every single thing a matter of life and death. It's all about trauma and fear and drumming that up and maintaining that height. Eventually they have to explode. You can't just keep building pressure forever. Well, anyway,
right.
When I look at this, when I see that they just continue, they can't go forward without the game, because the game is their entire identity right now. But they want to be able to separate themselves from the consequences of playing the game. And that's what I look at all of the Biden stuff right now with the resignation looming. First, I see from Axios, it said the headline right now is "Behind the Curtain, Top Dems Now Believe Biden Will Exit." And then we have breaking news from Mark Halperin, who says this. He says multiple sources outline the apparent state of play on Biden at this time. Listen to this. You've probably seen it all. Plans to announce withdrawal from the nomination as early this weekend. John Meacham polishing up remarks. Biden will not resign the presidency, and he will not endorse Kamala Harris, which opens up the convention with Harris and about 3 other people. Then they're going into the superdelegate details already. I don't know how much of this is going to end up being true, but we might know soon. What does switching out a candidate even mean at this? Is Joe Biden the only reason why the Democrat Party is dying in the polls in such disastrous ways? Is replacing him really the thing that's going to revive them?
This is what's driving me a little bit. I don't want to say it's driving me nuts, but it's like, I knew this would happen after the debate. And now that the assassination attempt has obviously solidified it and they're in full panic, my fear has come to fruition, which is, I think we're all forgetting that Donald Trump was leading Joe Biden for over a year. Okay? I mean, there was a lot more going on here. And for that year, we polled everyone. Michelle Obama, even though I think it's ridiculous. Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Josh Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer. They all lose to Donald Trump. And guess what? Biden was the strongest candidate. Now, we're having some new polls come out after the debate, particularly, and all these questions surrounding Biden being senile are coming out. And that some of that polling is showing that she does a little bit better as CBS News. That could simply be a response bias, Frank. It has nothing to do with actual, reflecting actual opinion and where the race would be. the consensus of polling before the debate and even some after clearly showed what we found, which is that Biden, with all of his flaws, is still the strongest candidate. And that is historically all of the empirical data and the variables that predict elections that everybody uses, whether you're looking at Allen's keys or you're looking at the primary votes or whatever model you're looking at, an incumbent president is going to be a stronger candidate. Kamala Harris is vehemently disliked by this country. The fact they would think that she is going to solve their problems is a joke. That's why she called Gavin Newsom. He said, I won't run with you. She called Gretchen Whitmer. She said, I won't run with you. She called Josh Shapiro. He said, I'll think about it, but I probably won't run with you. And apparently, I found out this morning, and this is probably a little bit of breaking news for everybody, but it's true. She called Roy Cooper of North Carolina, the governor of North Carolina, and he actually did sound, from what I'm told, he sounded interested. But most people, when they think about it, don't want to do it because they know she's a loser. This is a losing strategy to totally rebuke the votes of millions of Democratic primary voters because the elites now all of a sudden realize they can't hide his senility from the public anymore is outrageous. And there was a reason why Donald Trump was leading for this long anyway, long before the debate. It's because the Democratic policy is hurting people. It's hurting their pockets. They feel like everything is destabilized now. You thought it was bad under Trump. At least, there wasn't a war in Eastern Europe. There wasn't an invasion in Israel in the Middle East. There wasn't, at risk here of, potentially escalating to a mini nuclear war over, Slavic divisions that have been going on for hundreds of years, I mean, this is crazy. This idea that she's going to parachute in and win this thing for them is nuts. They have huge problems, and I got to tell you, there's only the legalities of this, the conversation. The only one who could even legally inherit the war chest that Joe Biden has is Kamala Harris. But what you heard in Halperin's reporting right there is Joe Biden saying, if you push me out, you're going to do it on your own. Good luck raising money in 3 months.
That's what I was going to ask you next, because what you're describing and what this Halperin tweet really just says to me is that for the Democrat Party, their entire election year is going to start at the end of their convention, which means they're only going to have 2 months to fund a completely new candidate and run against somebody who has been essentially preparing for this for years. They're giving themselves 2 months.
Yes, sir. And she's not even a rock star. This is the thing. The elites are driving this, and Biden's got a lot at stake. That's why he's fighting so hard. And I got to tell you, there were people who pushed back on that report really hard today to us. They said that is not true. Speaking frankly, quite frankly, they were like, the pressure is enormous. And when the former House leader comes out, when Mr. Impeachment comes out, Adam Schiff, right? When Chuck Schumer, the current leader of the Senate, comes out and they abandon you, it's a problem. All right. So I've been telling people that this is not going to happen. These replacement theories are stupid. And many of them were, because they just didn't understand the legal issues that are at play here. And they didn't understand how difficult it is to get somebody fresh on a ballot. Like, you cannot parachute Michelle Obama and nominate her and that's it. It's just not how it works. And then you have to get around the DNC rules. The super delegates can't vote in round one. Well, then whom are the delegates who were bound to the state votes going to vote for, Frank? They have rules that can't vote for anybody but Biden in the first 2 ballots. So it's like just a total shit show, man. Yeah. And all for who? A loser. She's a loser. She's going to get crushed. Nobody likes her. She's got her little time of the honeymoons, being on Nickelodeon are over. Everyone can't stand her guts. She's one of the most unpopular political figures in the country. And if they do nominate her, if they think for a second that she's going to get through this campaign without the world hearing about what a slut she was coming up through the ranks, she's got another thing coming. She's running against Donald Trump, bro. The words heels up Harris are going to be everywhere. But they're not thinking rational and logical because they're scared. They're panicked. So it's like, at this point, there really is no good decision for Democrats to make here. And if you think, again, I'm telling you, people better start taking a second thought. Like, you're going to wish you had the senile old man back who's from, you're going to wish you had Scranton Joe Biden back, because when they're done with Kamala Harris, boy, she's going to get blown out.
See, I didn't know that was really how hamstrung, how up against the wall they were as far as the polling goes. I didn't know that even as bad as he is physiologically and everything else, he really is the one that polls the highest in the entire camp.
He does. Gavin Newsom is disliked in the Midwest. They think he's like they think he is what he is. A slimy little coastal elite, who has like plans for world domination kind of thing. Don't like him. And Kamala Harris, I don't know any other way to say this. It really is the only way I can say it. She's basically a younger, not white. She's obviously a younger, non-white version of Hillary Clinton. And people don't like her. They don't like her laugh. They don't like her fake impressions. They don't like her fake accents. They don't like her jokes. She's not funny. All right. She's not a likable person. Do you remember the Democratic primary, Frank?
Yeah.
She crashed and burned, bro. Crashed and burned.
That's why I didn't. Still nobody has given me a good excuse as to why she was chosen to be the VP, especially because of how disliked. I mean, who cares? What?
She, like the Secret Service, like the head of the Secret Service, is a freaking DEI hire. Let's get real. And by the way, she polls worse with black voters than Biden. And that's another thing I've heard from Democrats. They're like, maybe this can help right our shit with how much of the non-white vote Trump is winning. It's like, your mind? He still polls 7 points, 8 points better than Kamala Harris against Trump with black voters. Trump is winning even more black voters against Kamala Harris. Like, they live in a fantasy world. But again, they're panicked. Like, right? So they're holding on to that CBS News poll. Like, okay, we're down by 5 with Biden nationally, but we're only down by 3 with Harris. See, she does better. It's a response bias. It's just a handful of people who don't want to admit they're voting for a senile guy. That's it. And give it 2 weeks to a month. It'll be right back. It'll be right back where it was before. You don't undo almost 2 years worth of a trend over a simple event like that. Let me just give people a couple places, and you tell me whether or not you think Joe Biden or Kamala Harris will do a better job there, perform better. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
County, Pennsylvania. Who's going to do better there? Scranton Joe Biden or cackling Kamala Harris? Okay? Heels up, cackling Kamala. Which one? Scranton Joe or heels up Harris? All right? Macomb County, Michigan. Detroit, baby, the suburbs. Who's going to do better there? Scranton Joe or cackling Kamala? We could go on and on. Juneau County, Wisconsin. All right? Miami-Dade, Florida. Maricopa, Arizona. This isn't even a freaking choice. He would do better because he still has that Uncle Joe facade, and it is a facade. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. But at least, he can pass it off. She is not that. She is a California wannabe elitist who became an elitist by, whatting her way up the ladder. Nobody's going to tolerate that. Like, they are really living, again, and she's accomplished absolutely nothing. Just speaking to somebody before, and I'm listening into the interview for a poll, and the person's like, what I find so astonishing about Kamala Harris? She's been the vice president for almost an entire presidential term. I don't know who the hell this woman is outside of a couple of clips that I didn't like. Like, she has done nothing. She has no experience. What makes them think she can do this job?
Well, Rich,
right? She didn't even do the job of vice president.
That's what I'm saying. Just watching the pairing of these two for the last 4 years really has been nothing more to me than just seeing, hey, 2020 was at all costs. It was an at all cost kind of a thing, and now here's the thing. I'm always looking for something to be hopeful about. Although I'm always cautiously optimistic, if not a little bit more than cautiously optimistic. It is just or a little bit less than cautiously optimistic, I should say. If they're polling this bad, I mean, in the run up to 2016, we were seeing Hillary Clinton with 92 to 95% chances of winning. That was being published out there.
Yep.
In 2020, of course, we had the lockdown, COVID factor, and all of that stuff. There was a little bit more. There was a little bit more of an alibi as to why Donald Trump is tanking in the polls, and people are afraid to go out and mail in ballots and all this stuff. But 4 years later, there's this horrible numerical problem that this party has. People are not shuttered inside of their houses anymore. And of course, there's all the current predicaments Biden has health-wise. Trump, it really has not had to do much this year except just shut up. Biden's been tanking. And then, of course, comes the assassination attempt. I mean, how do you even attempt to steal? I mean, I guess you can just try, but at the same time, right now, to even walk away with a close victory would be like, who the hell? What did you do to do this? It's not believable anymore.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that's how Joe Biden actually became president. He did not win the presidency on his own. He wasn't even getting past a single primary state, folks. It wasn't until Barack Obama made every phone call in the world to every person he needed to, from people who were running to people in media, because he didn't believe it would be believable for Bernie Sanders to win. So he was telling people, Bernie can't win. He just can't. Like, he can't, and no one will believe that he can. So, like, if they do, that is part of the calculation for sure. And that's another reason why it's like, if you think, and I guess maybe they just, Barack Obama, who is having a huge role in trying to push Joe out, I guess he thinks that it's believable for Kamala to win, for Kamala to do better. It doesn't really matter what the truth is, Frank. It's like what they can try to sell to us.
Okay.
And that's just the reality of it. I mean, even with COVID and everything, back then Obama really did believe the polls. And I anytime I've relayed this to people, I always tell them it was like one of the saddest things ever to poll the Democratic primary and even conduct an exit poll, which we did. And it was like these Democratic voters, you could hear the result of Obama's campaign to rig that primary. And it was sad, because Democratic primary voters were saying they didn't want Joe Biden, and they never wanted him, even those who eventually would vote for him. They didn't want him. But the media and everybody and it really was like a giant pressure campaign, convinced them that Bernie couldn't win. They wanted Bernie, but they voted for somebody else because that's what they were told to do. And that's like so sad if you think about it. I really can't stress that enough, man.
Yeah.
Think about it. These people did not want him to begin with, and now, and they rammed him down their throats because that was what Barack Obama thought was the only believable scenario to have Donald Trump lose. It has to be to Joe Biden. At least that's believable. And now people picked him, even though all of the health issues, this isn't new, Frank. They're all like, Tapper and a lot of them, these people make me laugh. They pretend as if they just learned about the president's senility. Everybody knew Joe Biden was senile. Everybody knew it. Reporters have been fired from the White House press team because they knew and wanted to report on his senility. And now they're going to pretend like this is some new revelation. It's just unbelievable to me. And instead of forcing Joe Biden down their throats, they're going to they're contemplating erasing their votes and getting rid of him. It's unbelievable. But democracy, Frank.
I know, and there's a lot of people whose faith in it all is actually really, really dwindling right now. So we will see. We'll see how the excitement is up, but the who the hell knows? I know that the betting markets go nuts, but I wouldn't put a dime on any of this stuff because it's too nerve-wracking. Rich, I know that you made some time for us tonight. It's a few minutes away from Tucker Carlson doing his little talk over here at the RNC. Yep. I'll let you go. I'd love to catch up with you again soon for a full segment, but thank you for giving us the 20 minutes.
All the best, Frank, as always, my friend. And all the best.
Thank you. Send the best to Laura.
Will do. Right back to you and yours, brother.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Take care. There's Rich Baris, director at Big Data Poll. You can find him on his locals and YouTube and everything else. Got a wonderful. That's his green. That's when he went on Fox and the green screen glitched out and it turned him green. That's the Hulk Rich. So whenever he calls in for a little bit of an audio update, then we get to do this to him. All right, let's get to some super chats because we're not going to. Who's this? Who's this chick? Who is she?
Outside of his family and our country,
I don't know who that is.
President Trump also has another love.
Is that a Trump? I don't know. People in the chat room are saying, show feet, please. Jeez. There's just perverts everywhere, aren't they? Doesn't matter if it's a Right Side Broadcasting Network chat. We'll get around to this. I'm keeping this over here. We'll see what the hell is what's up. It's Trump lawyers. It's Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba. Oh, is that why people were saying Habba Habba in the chat room too? They're saying I saw other people go, please be respectful. It's an internet chat room. Okay? Please, everybody, be respectful. Take your shoes off. Show everybody your feet. Okay, thank you so much, Rich. That was great. I'm going to go into our super chats here to get this up. And Jay Britt says, always enjoy Rich coming on. Greatest show on the earth. Thanks, Frank. Thank you, Jay. Easy breezy, not sleazy. Says we have ruled out the Baron's superpowers as a culprit. Have we ruled out Baron's superpowers as the culprit? Maybe they just activated and he is inexperienced. CGI cover-up. To cover up Baron's powers that almost killed his father? That's a movie. Haywood Jablomi, too, says they've got to take him out with the 25th Amendment or some other way. I think it's a Wisconsin, Nevada, and Michigan state laws that are there to require to place him, require it to replace him on the ballot. Okay. Jay Semo, this is all from Rumble, says great calls, great show. Heels up Harris, go Rich. Yeah, we're gonna keep checking in on this. I want to make sure that we don't miss the that we do not miss Tucker Carlson here. I'm just curious about how he handles this. We did that. Man, that is going to be one hell of a convention. I don't have any summer vacations planned. You know, I give myself a summer Friday here and there like I have coming up tomorrow. But, you know, I don't have any place to go in August. I'm looking forward to this convention now just because I don't have any good shows to watch. I don't have anything else going on. This is going to be top quality. It's like drama, entertainment, all that stuff. I just finished watching The Chosen season 4. Holy shit, man. Literally. It was awesome. I'm actually going to say a little something about that, I think, in the newsletter that comes out on August 5th. All of you monthly subscribers will get that. Got to talk about that. That's some great stuff. But here, let's see. What else do we have? Doug Simi, thank you so much. Cave Toad says, we're going to have to make a drinking game for when you hit the wrong button, Frank. Keep it turgid and frosty. Turgid or turgid? I don't use the word. I don't know what it is. Don't judge me. There's some words I just don't know. Doug Simi, thank you. Cave Toad just gifted a 1-month bronze tier subscription. It keeps gifting them, and people are claiming them. And the people who claim them on quitefrankly.tv or Pilled, you are now a 1-month sponsor. That means you're getting into the Sunday streams. You're getting into next month is all of the book clubs. So that's one reason why to hang out in the live chat on quitefrankly.tv and pilled.net is that there's always really nice people who are gifting subscriptions there right there in the chat room that can be claimed. And then you enjoy all the perks of sponsorship. You get to at least try it out. The Sentinel says, power naturally grows. Why? Because human passions are insatiable. That's John Adams. He goes on to says, all levels of government have become the powerful, and this will continue until the people elect leaders that take bold action or they burn it down. Always enjoy Rich Baris. That is Alina Saad Abba. The chat is teasing about feet. Don Jr. posted her cut foot and joked, oh, I'm sure some people aren't teasing. Anytime a woman steps up out onto a screen on the internet, somebody says, show feet, please. On Instagram, and I know that in itself is a joke, just like shoe on head. That's an old school one, too. Shoe on head, please. On Instagram, this would go viral on a foot fetish site. I'm sure it would. The band is playing now. It's a pretty good band. I was listening to them that first night. I said, they got some chops, and they know a lot of damn songs. Have them show up for your for your wedding. Here, this one just came in. California Governor Gavin Newsom and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer have communicated to senior party leaders they would not be interested in serving as Harris's running mate, according to a person familiar with the candidates in the mix to join Harris atop the ticket. Which means Harris would have to be the president. Right? So that just came in there too. That's what Rich was talking about. All right. Here's one. There was a message that came in. There was a message that just came in over here on Gilded from Katie. She said several cops were literally breaking down a fence with a truck to get to the building where the shooter was, calling it into the Secret Service for several minutes before the shooting took place. The agents on stage did not rush Trump off. They were in on it too. Yeah, you know what? That's something that we have not really harped on too much. But I believe it came up. We know that there's radio chatter. There are people telling cops. There's cops telling federal agents. There's stuff going on sometimes as early as 26 minutes prior to. If there's a strange person walking around with a rangefinder, okay, a rangefinder, if he's anywhere within 200 yards of the rally, why the hell would Secret Service ever allow the president to leave the car until the person is apprehended, removed from the premises, has kept close tabs on, car searched, all that stuff, whatever the hell it is? You know, that's way behind. And then you have all of these instances of things happening 2 minutes beforehand. As long as it's a minute before he goes live, why the hell is he not immediately, Mr. President, get off the stage? So for dumb Joy Reid to be sitting there and going, and why was he allowed to stand up for 10 seconds? It's actually a prescient question. Now you have a man who is as, bullish as Donald Trump, 78 years old, but he's still a big guy, still strong. And now he's surging with adrenaline. I'm sure he wants to get up and he wants to give people a sign of life, a sign of vitality and all that other stuff. But it is something to think about. Okay, all of the cues and all of the messages and all of the warning signs that had been missed, the commonsensical stuff that had been missed prior to with the team that is over there on the stage, that he shouldn't have even been allowed on the stage. Makes you wonder, are they propping him up? Are they helping to prop him up so that maybe somebody out there can take another shot? But then again, all their heads are in view. I don't know how much. That the propping up theory, but there's no reason why he should ever been let out there. And is it really just because they're not everyday seasoned Secret Service that they didn't know that seems like basic protocol stuff? That if there's any shadow of a doubt, your VIP is going to have to be taken away until there is no shadow of a doubt. Anyway, how much more evidence do you need to know that something was planned? Something was planned, and the full spectrum of the plan, God knows. All right, it's 8:34. I don't see any Tucker Carlson yet. Are they behind? In comes fall. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to take a really quick break. An intermission. I'll be watching the Rumble stream over here, Right Side Broadcasting Network. And if Tucker Carlson takes the stage in the middle of intermission, I'll just cut away. So don't worry about it. I'll just keep watching this over here, and I will be right back. Thank you so much.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Well,
quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Oh. I've been... Good to see you. Thank you.
Here he is.
I feel like I know about half the people in the room. This is wild. What are you doing? Justin Wells. Thank you, guys. Okay. Can I just say, Peter Navarro is back. Welcome to Peter Navarro. Suffering the fate that has happened to so many who are friends with Donald Trump. Thank you for having me. I have been to many conventions. I have never been to a more fun convention or a convention with better vibes. They literally let Navarro out of prison. First of all, thank you. This feels a lot different from what I thought it was going to feel like. I can't hear you, but I know it's something good. So I watched the video of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania about 50 times. I think I was one of about 8 billion people around the world who watched it. And the more I watched it, the more it struck me that everything was different after that moment. Everything. And this convention is different. The nation is different. The world is different. Donald Trump is different. When he stood up after being shot in the face, bloodied, and put his hand up, I thought at that moment, that was a transformation. This was no longer a man. Well, I think it was divine intervention. But the effect that it had on Donald Trump, he was no longer just a political party's nominee or a former president or a future president. This was the leader of a nation. And I think there's a difference. I've spent most of my life in Washington where the president is at the top of the pyramid, everyone wants to be the president. But if you think about it, the presidency comes with great power, obviously. But if you think about it, that is a title that is bestowed by a process of some sort that can be subverted. And in the end, it does not confer by itself, as no title does, legitimacy. Just because you call yourself the president doesn't mean that much inherently. I can call my dog the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. It doesn't mean she is.
I get what you're saying.
It's true. And you hate to say it, but it is also true, as a fact, that you could take, a mannequin, a dead person, and make him president. No, you could. You could. I'm just saying theoretically possible. With enough cheating, that could happen.
You get it?
But being a leader is very different. It's not a title. It's organic. You can't name someone a leader. A leader is the bravest man. That's who the leader is. That is true in all human organizations. This is a law of nature. And in that moment, Donald Trump, months before the presidential election, became the leader of this nation. That was the most obvious to me. And I have to say, I think it changed him. He reached out to Trump within hours of it that night. And what he said to me that night, having just been shot in the face, he said not a single word about himself. He said only how amazed he was and how proud he was of the crowd, which didn't run. And I thought two things. The first thing I thought was, well, of course they didn't run. His courage gave them heart. A leader's courage gives courage to his people. And the second thing I thought was, this is the selfish guy I've been hearing about for 9 years? Really? Not a word about himself? About his people, period. And the second thing I noticed, which I don't think anyone has remarked upon in public, but I'm just going to since I don't have a script, like why not, is that he turned down the most obvious opportunity in politics to inflame the nation after being shot. To inflame the nation, which is an opportunity that almost every other politician I've ever met, and certainly his opponents, would have taken instantly. And they would have said, well, what is this? How did he get shot? Like, how did this happen? And those are real questions that we have to get to the bottom of. But in the moments, the days, the week after the shooting, he did not say that. He did his best to bring the country together, and I thought, this is the divisive figure, this is the irresponsible person. No. This is the most responsible, unifying behavior of a leader I think I've ever seen. So the question is, where is he leading us? And I could go on for hours, but let me just sum it up. I do think the entire point from the famous escalator ride 9 years ago until today of Donald Trump's public life has been to remind us of one fact, which is a leader's duty is to his people, to his country, and to no other. That's the point. That's the only point. And another word for this is democracy. Democracy, in case you're a little sick of being beaten in the face with democracy on television, actual democracy is the proposition that the citizens of a country own that country. They're not renters, they're not serfs, they're not slaves, they are the owners of the country. And for that to be true, their leaders have to represent them, which is another way of saying they have to do what the people want them to do, or a close approximation thereof. But if they completely ignore what people want, not just 1 year, but generationally, say for 50 years, then it may be, I don't know what, it's not a democracy. And so I think the entire Trump project, paradoxically, is attacked as an enemy of democracy, is to return democracy to the United States. Hey, let's pay attention to what people actually want. And the lack of interest in that question in Washington is something that ultimately drove me out of the city after 35 years. Lawmakers stepping over the prostrate bodies of their fellow citizens ODing on drugs to go cast votes to send money to some foreign country. Yeah, actually, we've lost more Americans from drugs in the past 4 years than we lost in World War II. Yeah, our bloodiest war. More than we lost in World War II. Does anybody care? It is pathetic. It is pathetic. And do you hear a single word from Washington about doing anything about it? We know where the drugs are coming from. We know the supply routes. The U.S. military spent billions bombing the Ho Chi Minh Trail. You don't see our commander-in-chief suggesting that we use our military to protect our country or the lives of its citizens. No. That's for Ukraine. And it's too much, actually. It's too insulting. It's too insulting. It's a middle finger in the face of every American. It's a very clear statement, which is unmistakable. And that is, we don't care about you. And Donald Trump, whatever you say about him, and I think he's a wonderful person. I know him well. By the way, the funniest person I've ever met in my life, actually. You can't be funny without perspective or without empathy, which is true. But everything else about Trump aside, he actually cares because he's interested in the people who live here because that's his job. A father's job, his duty is to his family. An officer's duty is to his men. A president's duty is to his citizens. And he seems to be the only one who thinks that. And in his choice for vice president, J.D. Vance, he's made that really clear. J.D. Vance, I'll say this about him, is a thoroughly decent man, and I'll just admit it, a friend of mine, one of the very few politicians in Washington who actually is very close to his own wife, which is wonderful to see. And she's wonderful, actually. But J.D. Vance has views that are closer to Trump's voters than anyone else in Washington in office. Therefore, he's the vice president. That's called democracy. So I will stop on just one point, and that is what's happened over the past month since the debate, and particularly on Saturday in Butler. I think a lot of people are wondering, what is this? This doesn't look like politics. Something bigger is going on here. I think even people who don't believe in God are beginning to think, well, maybe there's something to this. Actually. And I'm starting to think it's going to be okay, actually. I do think that. In the day after the midterm elections in 2018, Antifa came to my house. The Democratic Party's militia, okay? I was at work. It was obvious when I was at work because it was public. My wife was home alone. They tried to come in through the front door. They terrorized her. She hid in our pantry. It was on television. It was horrible, actually. It was, I mean, I'm not whining about it. I wasn't getting shot in the face, but it wrecked our day. And the next morning, we're lying in bed, and the phone rings for my wife, and it's Donald Trump, who's not like a regular text buddy of Donald Trump's. She picks it up, hello? Susie, it's Donald Trump. And it's coming through, I could hear it. You know, I'm lying in bed, whoa. And the first thing he says is, I'm gonna stand guard outside your house. And she goes, oh, that's so nice. And he says, I'll never forget this as long as I live. He says, you know, there's a lot of hate out there. And she said, you know, there is, Mr. President. And then he says, but there's a lot of love. There's a lot of love. And we are seeing that love. I don't think it's human love. And I'll just stop with this. I'm not always convinced that I'm on the right side. I've been on the wrong side many times. You'll never hear me say, I'm on God's side, or God's with me, or even I'm with God. I want to be, not sure I am. But I will say this unequivocally and conclusively. God is among us right now. And I think that's enough. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Golf General Manager Trump.
Wow. All right. Let's take some calls. It's 8:47. What do you think about that? He's a great speaker. I really respect him in that sense, and a good communicator. The one thing is undeniable that this isn't politics. Well, we've talked about this many times in just the last few years alone, that we are in a post-political world. That's why we go so far into subject matter that's not human, because it's almost like, all right, well, the answers aren't on this earth. The answers aren't on this plane of existence. We have to go somewhere else, because there has to be something else driving this, and there also must be a power. There must be a counterbalance that we need to come back into alignment with in order to fully actualize and understand the battle that we're in, and to be properly prepared and armed for that battle. And that's how I got back to God. Just that question. No, it's a path I'm on. I'm not a saint. I think you guys can. I think you know that. But that's where I've been at for a while. So he articulated it that very good. Now it's 8:48 p.m. He went on around 8:40, and the original start time was 8:28. So it was going to be Tucker Carlson, Kerry Ruiz, a video, and then Hulk Hogan. I got to stay on for Hulk Hogan. And then I'm going to get the hell out of here, because I just want to. I'll watch the rest of it at home. Let's take some calls. 914-200-0269. Just speed round. What did you think about it? Speed round. What did you think about it? What did you think about Tucker? And what did you think about anything else that we're talking about tonight? Go ahead and let me hear it. That'd be great. 914-200-0269. It's a spiritual battle. Says. We need Gandalf, and have no idea who one white wizard is on the Illuminati controlled MSN. That's Geo says that. I'm just looking into the general chat now. Tucker dropped bombs. The Hulkster, says Brother Zoe. Good looking out, says Most Mundane. The Hulk is apropos, since this is WWE wrestling. Well, he's also recently baptized too. Apparently he's having quite a moment of growth in his own personal life. Let's see. No problem, AC. They're trying to cultivate the image of Trump as a Christ figure anointed by God. They're trying to cultivate the image of Trump as a Christ figure. I mean, some people believe that I've seen. Listen, some people get religious about stuff. I think the vast majority of people who will be voting for Donald Trump are not voting for a Christ figure. So you can talk about idolatry all you want, and I'm sure some people will go that far. But that's not what I see. Not at least in my personal experience. It does happen, absolutely. You can say that there is a little bit of an anointing there on Saturday, that there are some things where you kind of, I do believe that even the most unlikely among us can receive the Holy Spirit at any time, and all of a sudden your mission, your perspective, and your approach changes to things. And who the hell's to say what's what and how a person is changed over time, especially since we know, especially if a person is so public and you know how they were before. But, you know, I saw this one. There was an Instagram account that I used to follow, but they were just getting too crazy about, Trump is being deified and all that stuff. I think, no, he's not. No, he's not. There's a sliver of people who would do stuff like that. Remember, just always think about the breakdown here. How many ordinary people are out there that really don't even look into this stuff. And then people who do, and they go deep. Then there's splits in there. And there's people who get religious, and there's people who apply it in so many different ways. It's a mix of things. You want to be able to hold yourself in check there. But, I mean, things do happen. Things do happen. Let's see. Chuck from Idaho. Go ahead, Chuck.
I was just going to say, if you get winged by a 5.56 round and you get like just a little bit of blood on your ear, something's wrong there. That's all fake. I think, Tucker's controlled CIA, and I think it's all nonsense.
So is there any way that a 5.56 round could hit? I mean, is it always, no matter what it touches of the ear, the entire thing would be annihilated?
It's gonna blow it out. I mean, if he was actually hit, because Trump was in WWE or whatever he was, there's clips of him tackling people, using blood packets. But so if you've used, if you fired one of these rounds and it's not just gonna like go clean through. So no, I mean, it would annihilate the ear.
It would annihilate the ear if it went through the ear. But if it
wouldn't be clean. Once that little,
if the bullet touched the edge of it. I mean, like, how much of it we're talking? I mean, it didn't look like his ear got blown. It got hit full on. It would look like a graze. It was a graze. I mean, so I don't know.
It's theater, man. It's in my opinion, this is all theater, and everybody's being sucked in. And then now Tucker's just trying to sell it. Okay. So now Tucker's out there, selling this to us, and so that's it.
Well, Chuck, you did not do a good job selling it to me, and I'm open to it. So I mean, you can't just say hey man, it's all theater. His entire ear would be blown apart, no matter if the bullet even just gave him a rug burn or if it was a full on hit across the entire. Because it wasn't the whole damn thing. It wasn't that it didn't touch the whole ear. I mean, there's no way for you to be on the outskirts, I don't know, the last line of I don't even know.
I guess if you just barely nicked it, then you got me. But I mean, come on, man, what are the odds of that?
What? Wait a second. Wait a second. So okay, thank you. Okay, so Chuck, you just said that. What are the odds that why would it be why would the odds be so crazy that the ear would be barely nicked as opposed to what? Why would that be so odd? That's the crazy part about what just happened here. And what about the other people who are either dead or maimed right now?
Well, I'm talking about the line of view where people are talking about somebody. I didn't watch this, so, but apparently there were people saying there's a guy on the roof for a long time, and for him to remain up there, so that should be a big red flag for us.
Yeah, it should be. It should be.
So
People are wondering.
I guess the only thing I would buy on this would be, okay, so Trump is told that, hey, we're going to wing you, and don't worry, just stay still when you're going to say this line, and we won't, I don't know, man.
That is even more ridiculous. Thank you for the call, Chuck. That's even more. Turn your head, stay on this line, and we're just going to wing you from 200 yards, from 300 yards out. The actual shooter. I just don't get it. So it's either his head gets blown off, or it was all staged. That is one hell of a. I don't know. See, this is what I'm talking about. You can go into some really dark wildernesses. You can go into a real deep wilderness of everything is fake and we're all controlled. And here's the selling. We talk about this stuff all the time. We always analyze media tricks. We always try to analyze people on our supposed side or the other side, whatever. And of course, holding it up against a solid. What is our totem? What's our totem from the inception? Instead of the spinning top, our totem is liberty. Okay, does one thing or another lead us to a person's individual liberty being reinforced or taken away and all that stuff? And there's a lot of really bad compromises along the way because the system, if you're going to interact with it at all, is mutated. It's rough. So, but we're all part of this, and this shit affects us, as you can see. And I think to go, you have to really. You got to pick your battles with this. I don't understand the whole it's all fake people. I don't understand. Nicked. That's the whole point. It's nicked. Why would the whole ear be blown apart if it was nicked? That's what I don't get. If you can't explain that to me, why would the ear be completely blown apart if the ear was nicked? If you're saying it's impossible for the ear to be nicked, why? Was there some kind of a bubble, a force field around the target that would not allow a bullet to nick them, only to destroy them? It makes no sense. And listen, if you come with really undeniable evidence, I want to hear it. You can come present it, but there is none. There is just a predisposition to believe that literally everything is the inverse of what it is, what it seems. And that's not a healthy way to go out and analyze things around you, because then you misdiagnose a lot. Everything is not the exact inverse. There are plenty of inverse things out there, but it's not everything. It's just not. It's impossible. And it really destroys your ability to see things clearly. That's just my 2 cents. I don't. And again, if you have evidence, you got to bring it up. But there's none. Let's see what somebody else has to say. 406. What do you think?
Hey, Frank. I just want to make a little clarification on the last guy's misunderstanding on supersonic versus subsonic rounds. 223 is what they say Trump was shot by, and that's a subsonic round. It's not going faster than the speed of sound. It's not going to rip his ear apart. 5.56 may have, if it got close enough, it would have caused a lot of tissue damage from the shock wave of the supersonic shock wave.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify that up.
And you're saying that the 223 is what they said
and that's a subsonic round.
Okay. So then
that's a different. They're the same bore size. But a 5.56 is a NATO round. It's a supersonic round, and you can't put a 5.53 in a 223 gun. I mean, but you can't put a 223 in a 5.56. So most people, when they buy an AR-15, they buy them in 5.56, so you can shoot both rounds through them.
Gotcha. Okay, so then as far as the damage that has been reported to be inflicted, it seems it's possible for this to happen for a Nick.
Oh yeah, very very possible for a subsonic round.
Okay, well thank you, Arlo. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, no problem, Frank.
All right,
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Well, hey, listen, I don't know. Everybody has to walk their path, I guess, but not everything. Not every aspect of everything is fake. What does that mean about what does that mean? Now I know. Listen, you know why someone like me starts coming to that conclusion, to dial it back and just look at things a couple of times more and just to breathe it out and realize that there is a mix of all these things. You know, what do we say? The best lies have a shred of truth in it. Well, a shredded ear seems like a pretty good thing. A dead man, an injured man, a dead supposed shooter that's been flushed on the thing. You know, what's the big story? We're focusing in on the fake. Then why? Okay, so again, Trump is working with Biden? For what? For what? You have to tell me why Trump and Biden's entire security apparatus that he controls, that has been taking away security from him and giving him the second string, why are they working together to get Trump a busted ear and a dead father in the crowd? Why are they working together? Why'd they do that? Why did Trump sign up for that? So he get a bump in the polls that he doesn't need? Why? I'm telling you, you gotta think these things through. It can't just be, well, because everything's the inverse, Frank. 575, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Frank?
How are you?
Oh, pretty good. How you doing, sir?
Not bad. Just waiting for Hulk Hogan so I can get out of here. What's on your mind?
I wanted to comment on the people that think all that stuff, but the shooting was fake. I think that's like absolute retardation.
Well, I'm always open to theories. I'm open to everybody's view on the thing, but it gets to a point where it almost seems lazy, especially when there is a much bigger, obvious operation that is being exposed right now that nobody can cover up. Like, how many times have we said on this show that it's impossible for them to even, why would they even try to pull a JFK again when in 1963 the entire jig was up just because of one guy and his 8mm camera, you know, that they didn't even know was recording. I mean, today we're seeing every day there's new video that's uploaded from every angle, where people a couple of minutes before the shots rang out, they're seeing cops running off in one direction, where it's clear that everybody's responding to a developing threat, but there is no messaging getting back to the stage to get Donald Trump off of the stage. You know, there's so many things that have been exposed. There's a real big operation that is being exposed in real time, and some people are opting to say, no, none of this actually even happened. Like, holy shit, man.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of goes back to the whole thing with, I don't know, we've all been lied to so much that I think people just lost their damn minds. So like, you could see something in front of you and then it's just, well, that's fake. Just everything's fake. And when you get in that mindset, that's dangerous. And like you were saying, with all the failures of the Secret Service and everything, it's obvious. It's obvious. Like, something went down there, and it wasn't just Trump smashing a fucking ketchup packet against his face. Like, come on.
Oh, I know. And thank you for the call, Cody. It's good to hear from you. I saw that up the bat. Well, I mean, and this is most of these theories are being concocted by liberals too, that don't want to, that really want to distance themselves from all this stuff and say, oh, please, it's all bullshit. I saw how many people sharing pictures of the Party City blood capsules that you bite down on if you're, Dracula for Halloween. That's really. So that's what he was standing there doing his thing. Did he? I didn't see a blood capsule in his hand. When he goes to his ear, He smacked what the fuck are you what? You would know if somebody smacked a blood capsule off the side of their head. You would know it. But just try to analyze and just wonder where people are coming from. I want to understand people, but sometimes, you know when it really starts getting hard? When you do what I do and you start seeing conspiracies involving you. I've been placed into a couple of conspiracies, small ones. I don't even fucking remember them. But I remember a couple of comments that were just so... I said, oh, okay. You know, I'm part of it now. I'm part of it now. It had nothing to do with the capstone tattoo either. Just other things. I said, oh, wait until you... if you ever do anything publicly that gets you inserted into a couple of theories, man, that changes your perspective there too. Like, holy shit. Okay, so calm down, and you really just gotta breathe things out, because now you're part of a few conspiracies. I don't even know what the hell it was at the time, but you just see how people's minds work. 925 Wild G, 5 because of Otter. What did Otter do? Hold on, let me see. Is Hulk Hogan out there yet? No. Okay. Hold on. So where's Hulk Hogan? Annette Albright, Franklin Graham. Oh, wait, no. Hulk Hogan, Annette Albright. So then he must be coming up now. No? All right. Well, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. We're doing overtime at this point. Esther G says, thanks for playing Doing Time Sublime's version of George Gershwin's classic Summertime, one of my favorites. Well, I'm glad that you liked it. Rubino says the ear doesn't have enough mass to cause the bullet to expand, causing more damage. Damage to the ear looks accurate. The damage to the ear looks accurate to being hit. We're also not talking about it just passing through the ear. We're talking about a nick. So, I don't know. I really didn't spend too much time on it. Jay Britt says, Frank, a 5.66 and .223 ammo is basically 22 caliber rounds, the same diameter as the 22 long rifle round. Well, the 22 is small. I know that. I've got something 22 at home, among other things. Let's see. Larkstar says, God is among us, no denying that. Dear Frank, with so many Franklies together in your stream on Saturday, comforted us after the traumatic experience. We love and appreciate your hard work keeping us sane. Stay blessed. Well, you guys did a lot for me that night, too. Especially since there was so little... I was so pissed off about what was going on with my computer at home. So it was great to be here with you guys and to do a clean stream for a couple of hours. I know I'm stretching it out here for a little bit. Dooku Dan says, hi, Frank. Michael Yan wrote at the New York Times photographer Doug Mills, whose bullet trace photo required a super high-speed, not typical camera, begs the question why he was there to get the photo ahead of a photo of a head exploding. Was he there? He always gets pics that support the deep state. Well, I know that the Mills guy was also there to get a picture of the George Bush getting the news about 9/11 at the classroom. I read about that. There's a lot of weird stuff there. Again, the media presence at this thing here, the fact that it was such a publicly broadcasted thing, it really does seem like it was supposed to be set up to be a national, almost like a live abortion. Just like Joe Biden's inauguration was a stillbirth. These things just feel that way to me. Katie Sky says, several cops were literally breaking down a fence with a truck. Oh, there you go. This is the same thing from before. Okay. Thank you. I'm really just waiting here. It's got to be the Hulk now. Come on. All right, let's take another call. 931, you're in overtime now. How are you?
Good. I've been trying to call for like 5 minutes. Have you gotten a good answer for the gun bullet theories?
No, everybody's giving me their answers. You go right ahead.
All right. Well, that idiot that was saying a 223 is subsonic, it is false. So I don't know if you got to my super chat yet or Rumble rant, But
did.
first off, the bullet striking the ear is not going to open up, so it's not going to cause the amount of damage people are claiming. Secondly, a 223 and a 556 are only about 300 feet per second off, so there's no possibility of it being subsonic. And you can clearly hear two cracks. One is the gunfire, and one is the sound barrier, the sonic boom, when the rifle shot.
See, this is why I like when people call in with their experience on this. It's on the record now. So that was you that left the this is Jay Britz then.
No, Rubino.
Oh, Rubino. Jay Britz. Hold on. Oh wait. Jay Britz gave me a 556 and a 223. Where do you? Oh, you gave me a Rumble rant.
Correct. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay, yeah, there you are. The ear doesn't have enough mass to cause the bullet to expand, causing more damage. Damage to the ear looks accurate to being hit. Okay. Is there anything else about the events out there from Saturday that made you suspicious about the authenticity of the attack itself? I mean, obviously it's a very suspicious day, and we have theories that are miles deep right now and plenty of evidence to support those theories. But this whole "it never happened" thing, and it's all a setup. Anything that made you feel like you smell a rat on that end?
First and foremost, that another person died. Secondly, just the amount of evidence showing, he's got a ladder leaning up on the side of the building to get on. They claim he had explosives. Gross incompetence. I think it was a setup. I think somebody helped him. There's no possible way this could have happened.
Okay. All righty. Well, I'm with you on that one. Well, thank you so much. Anything else you want to leave us with, Rubino?
I'm gay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'm going to save that one for next June. Everybody remember, next June, Rubino's gay. Yeah. Well, I get there's other people have asked, well, does he really need a bandage then? I mean, if you're, I don't know. It's still it's still a flesh wound. It's Thursday. It happened on Saturday. Why wouldn't you have a bandage on? Maybe there's a reason why the bandage is so big, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he goes out there without a bandage on tonight. I think I've already seen him once, and he has it on there. But I don't find the bandage suspicious if you got nicked in the ear by a bullet. I almost feel like people think that the nick in the ear makes it unbelievable. That it's either you die or you don't get hit at all, or the whole thing smells like shit. I don't know. It's like that's a weird thing. Not too many people, of course, but still, I've gathered that from some people I've observed. 540, you're on the air. Go ahead, 540.
Hey, Frank, Nathan, or Trail.
What's going on, Nathan? Go ahead.
Yeah, so the last caller, he's right. So I had 10 years in the Army, infantry, so it is a supersonic round. It's a small caliber. I've got a 22 LR in one of my 223 ARs, so it's cheaper to shoot. So it's pretty much the same size, but grazes your ear. I mean, if you want to think of it as a large caliber getting close to you, yeah, going to blow stuff apart. But supersonic round, it could have damaged the eardrum, though. So hearing could be lost in that scenario. But with this whole thing, I think there might be a little bit of divine intervention because, dude, they took out a president in, 63? And the whole 9/11 thing, I mean, they know how to pull big stuff off.
Yeah. Yes, they do. Now, but and maybe, and I think that's the whole thing, that maybe we're just paying attention a lot more now, because anybody 50 years later that goes back and examines the JFK assassination, you can there is so much that makes it obvious that it was a well-coordinated thing. And that you can see a stripping away of Secret Service, you can see a stripping away of protective staff and all that stuff. You can see how Jack Kennedy is being left more and more vulnerable as his ride through Dallas is progressing. And then, of course, 9/11. I mean, we're only 20 some odd years removed from 2001, and I mean, that day, the official story of that day has made to look so foolish to bear repeating at all. Perhaps nobody can say what exactly, but people have gotten pretty close, and I think we all know what at least the intention was. But man, oh man, as far as comparing the official story to what has been unearthed since, even right down to Alaska Fairbanks University doing all of the structural integrity experiments on proving what was possible with Building 7 and what wasn't. It just stacks up. So the real question is, why the hell even try something like this so out in the open when you know people are going to pick it apart so incredibly easily? When you have to do so many, you have to go to so many ridiculous directions as to actually pull back any of the real seasoned Secret Service staff and leave the most obvious and sole structures that are there with line of sight completely open. I mean, it almost seems foolish, like they wanted to be caught. That's the kind of thing that I think about right now. It's not that Trump was involved in it or actually offered himself up as a sacrificial lamb, because it definitely is not,
You would never take that bet. You would never say, "Oh yeah, I don't care if you're Carlos Hathcock out there. I'm not turning my head and letting you graze me." It's not going to happen. This was intentional. It's not gross negligence, and it didn't. I personally, the information I have right now, it didn't go the way they thought it was going to go.
Yeah, hey, I'm with you, and thank you for the call and for your expertise.
Later, man.
All right, take care. I'm just waiting for damn Hulk Hogan over here. Like, why am I watching everybody jumping around and it's supposed to be Hulk Hogan? This means that Donald Trump is not going to come on until like 11:30. This thing got pushed back, man. This is killing me. Anyway, this is killing me. I can't leave without Hulk Hogan, or else I would have lied to you guys. All right. Do you mind if I leave? Yes is 1, and 2 is no. Go ahead. Spam 1 in the chat room if you mind if I leave, and you think that if I leave you'll hate me. And 2, if you say no, go home. Go home. They're late. You're fine. 1, if you demand I stay, and 2, if you mind if I just go home and watch with you guys from the. There's a 1 already. I'd leave. Well, this is ridiculous. This is like a Metallica concert over here. Now I'm getting a mix. I don't know. I just can't watch this band anymore on mute. The hell's the point of watching a band on mute? All right, well, listen. We got Tucker, and seems like there's going to be a lot more cool stuff coming up. And tomorrow, I'm not going to be on air. I won't be on air tomorrow, but I will be in touch with you all. And maybe Saturday night I'll do a back porch stream or something like that. So be on the lookout. If I do, I will make the announcement on Twitter and on Telegram and in the Gilded and for the little tiny Discord that we started building up again. So go and join any and all of those things. Telegram and Gilded are really, really awesome to be a part of because the chatter is always ongoing, and it's a great way to just keep in touch with things and to share breaking news and stuff. And perhaps we will get together again on Saturday night, and we have a whole new wonderful week together starting on Monday. So enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you, Rich Baris, for calling in. I almost called him Bitch Baris. Thanks, Bitch Baris, for calling in. It's been wonderful to talk to you all. You've been wonderful. It's 20 after 9, and it's just got to end. Captain Flint says, no, all these guys talking about guns, 5.56, 223 are wrong. I build ARs and make ammo. Wrong. Okay, Captain Flint. Well, just, you should have said what the dealio was, because now we're leaving off with an open-ended statement there. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody in the Rumble, for watching. It's been a great night. Thank you for all the wonderful support and the company, and I will see you soon. No, Frank. Not before this.
I'll catch you on the flip side.